evening.
Welcome to the July 20th council meeting. We're halfway there. Halfway through the year. Going by quick. So if you'll join me, we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands.
All right. Miss Jackie, would you call the roll, please?
Yes, Mayor. Mayor Velardo?
Here.
Vice Mayor Evans?
Here.
Ms. Russell?
Here.
Mr. Mitchell?
Here.
Mr. Redmond?
Here.
Ms. Chamberlain?
Here.
Mr. Haskins?
Here.
Thank you. Has everyone had a chance to look at the minutes from the council meeting, and do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to adopt. Approve. Second.
Mr. Mitchell?
Yes.
Ms. Chamberlain?
Yes.
Mr. Haskins?
Yes.
Mr. Redmond?
Yes.
Ms. Velardo?
Here.
Ms. Evans?
Yes.
Ms. Russell?
Yes.
All right, we've got financial statements. I need a motion to adopt the 2021 finance report, please.
So moved. Second.
Ms. Russell?
Yes.
Ms. Evans?
Yes.
Ms. Velardo?
Yes.
Mr. Redmond?
Yes.
Mr. Haskins?
Yes.
Ms. Chamberlain?
Yes.
Mr. Mitchell?
Yes.
And I need a motion to receive the June 2021 finance report.
So moved. Second.
Ms. Russell?
Yes.
Mr. Redmond?
Yes.
Ms. Velardo?
Yes.
Ms. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Mitchell?
Yes.
Mr. Haskins?
Yes.
Ms. Chamberlain?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, I think you've got correspondence from Mr. Brad Price.
We have a letter of interest in the opening position on the Planning Commission from Mr. Brad Price.
Has expressed his interest.
Yes.
I think that's a wonderful idea.
I think he was the only one, Pam said, that
Yes.
expressed interest.
Yeah.
It would be a good fit, I think. Yeah, I think it'd be wonderful.
All those in favor of appointing him to Planning Commission, say aye.
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 All those opposed. Welcome to Planning Commission, Brad.
Thank you. And we also have a letter from Ms. Scharheiners regarding covering for the playground at the Garfield Park Playground.
We've also talked about that before, at Riverside Park. Could that go to community development?
Sure.
Yeah. Maybe?
Yeah.
Community Development.
Put that on the agenda. Because maybe lump in Riverside Park with it. We discussed that, I mean, a few years ago, we talked about that also for down there.
Yeah.
Yeah, because both of those parks are full sun.
Yeah.
Maybe we could invite her to that committee, let her
Okay.
know that's going to be discussed.
Okay, I will.
Now it's time for public comments. If anybody would like to comment, please come up to the podium and say your name. For those of you that are watching us on Facebook Live, hello, good evening. We'll do our best to monitor your comments. I know several of us are watching, so if you have a question, we'll try to get to you. If not, don't worry, we'll respond in writing at a later time. Good evening.
Ready?
I'm ready. How are you?
Larry Curtis, 548 Lyle Avenue. I have some questions about the Milford Main lot, of course.
Yeah.
Does anybody know roughly what the maintenance cost is right now for whatever they do there, mow the grass? Any idea at all?
It's just a.
Very minimal.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's very minimal.
Okay.
It's the cost of our employee to mow.
My point is, anything that you may build there, it's going to be maintenance, okay? Anything. I mean, if it's made of concrete, steel, wood, whatever. Here it is. What I'd like to see, and she knows what I'm going to say. A beautiful site that it is, okay? Everybody talks about, Marymount, Madera, Kenwood, all these surrounding communities. We got it made here. There's two beautiful entrances to the city by the bridge and the 5 Points. And I don't necessarily think a beautiful thing has to have a building or anything on it other than trees, maybe park benches. I don't know if anybody's familiar with the Fort Thomas area. I worked over there a lot when I was with the phone company. They have trees everywhere and park benches in the old fort area. And almost every one of them had a little memory card. You know, people donated money to put that up. And I think a lot of people would go for that. I mean, you wouldn't just want to, you know, go to Lowe's and buy your trees or anything, but, you know, get a certified arborist to tell you what kind of trees would grow well there. I do know tulip poplar trees get gigantic, because Janet Cooper has one going in her yard right now. It hadn't been there very long. People next door to me, there's one that has to be 70 feet tall, and they're beautiful. That's my idea. Has anybody really thought about just spiffing the thing up?
I think phase one is kind of that on a high scale. Like phase one of the park is mainly getting rid of the ugly chain link fence, walkways, some walkways, benches, trees,
Yeah.
all of that.
Well, like I say, you know, you put it out there. I'd buy a tree and a bench tonight. You know, I think a lot of other people would. Like, you know, it's not going to grow overnight. They say, people my age say the best time to plant a tree is 25 years ago, you know. So, but those things grow quickly. Like I said, if you get somebody who knows what they're talking about, you know, the ground that it's on and everything, maybe in between the deciduous trees, put a pine tree so you have something up all year round. But I don't know, I thought about getting in touch with the art director at the school, get one of the kids in the art classes to do a rendering of what it would look like, you know, so people get an idea.
Sure.
But I know a music venue has been mentioned, but I remember years ago they were talking about putting that down at Riverside Park.
Yeah, the current plan that we have in mind for 5 Point does not involve an amphitheater.
None?
No.
Okay, well, that's good.
And we are voting on that tonight. Were you aware of that?
Do what?
We're voting on whether or not to put the park levy on the ballot in November
Yeah.
tonight.
Yeah, right,
Okay.
right. So that's just my main concern, just to throw that out there, if anybody's really thought about just doing that,
Yeah.
period. So it would save maintenance cost
Yep, that's
in
true.
the long run. All right, thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Hi, good evening.
Hi,
How are you?
I'm good. Just waiting for everything to fall. Good evening, and thank you for allowing me to speak at City Council again. My name is Rebecca Geiger, and I live at 30 Susan Circle, Apartment 5. Thank you for the multiple crosswalk signs. Many people have commented to me how safe they feel using them and how grateful they are to have so many in place. They have also commented to me how a few of the signs in Old Milford look very torn up already. They are worried people are still going too fast and have seen drivers hit the crosswalk signs. I've heard a few drivers hit them, and I'm thankful I was not in the crosswalk. Thank you for the quick action to repair the sewer grate at 5 Point. Thank you for opening the access to the stairs at the bike trail. Many people besides myself take advantage of them and are safer. We look forward to the railing being fixed so that no one falls off the sides. Some of the steps are in need of repair as well. The City of Milford works hard to look out for all its residents. From the employees at Chase Bank to Frisch's, Speedway to By Gollies, from Harvest Market and Foundation specialists to the brewery, and all the businesses in between, thank you for the efforts you make to keep the sidewalks clear and safe. I appreciate the many Milford residents who take a few minutes to help me cross at intersections or get into or out of businesses. You have made me feel very safe and cared for as a valued member of Milford. However, there are still 2 crosswalks that are dangerous and can be made safer with the addition of audible signals. The crosswalks at 5 Point and the crosswalk at the bike trail need audible signals because they are long crosswalks and cover multiple lanes of traffic. The audible signal will enable a visually impaired person to know when it is safe to cross. The crosswalk at Mill Street is difficult to maneuver because the traffic is very difficult to understand when it is actually safe to cross. An audible signal would be helpful there as well. The sidewalk on the right side of Robbie Ridge going up the hill is impassable. I'm not sure who to contact to rectify the overgrowth. Within the last 8 years, I've transitioned from being able-bodied, and some would call an extreme bike rider, to being bedridden and wheelchair-bound, to using crutches and a walker for many months, to now being able to walk freely with the assistance of a cane. I've also had to adapt from being visually independent to being visually impaired and needing the assistance of a long white cane in order to independently take walks. Now I truly understand the importance of safe crosswalks for all citizens. Feel free to greet me when you see me out and about. We could walk for a block or 2 together, and while you would not be walking in my shoes, you might get a better grasp of the importance of the things listed above, as well as some of the frustrations I contend with. Thank you for your thoughts, time, insight, and empathy. Thank you again for allowing me to speak at a Milford City Council meeting.
Oh my gosh. I feel like I should clap.
I know.
Rebecca, thank you.
Rebecca,
There was one more thing that she wanted to add.
Yes,
that
sir.
I think she forgot, and that is at the bottom of Robbie Ridge.
yes?
Is it possible to put a crosswalk there? Because she has a hard time getting across.
I'm encouraged to give her golden crosswalks all over the city. That was amazing. Well, first off, thank you. That was the nicest complaint letter I've ever heard. That was wonderful. Thank you. Thank you for all the compliments and everyone that you thanked for what they've done to help you. So that was huge. Yes, Mr. Doss was over here writing vigorously. He's got all your notes down. We will look into all those audible crosswalks that you need and get those sidewalks repaired. I see you on the sidewalks walking all the time. You know, honking would seem to scare you, so I tend not to do that. But I just think you're doing an amazing job. I love it when I see you out walking around.
I enjoy the crosswalks and the sidewalks and people.
It's just that going across Lila, it's 4 lanes.
Tricky, yeah.
Right?
It's hard to get
Yes.
across.
It's kind
Yeah.
of hard to do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
5
He
crosses
helps
to
me a
get
lot.
to Kroger's.
yeah. How about, give us a chance to work on this for you and do we have her phone number?
Yeah, I have her email. I don't know if I
Okay.
have her phone number, but I have her email.
When the meeting is over, we're going to get your phone number so that we can talk and make sure we get you squared away, okay?
Okay.
You go to Jackie.
She had to go.
Or Jackie can get it for you if you need to go. Thank you, Rebecca.
She's saying up on the
know what
right
to do
side.
You're okay, just
You
hang
can
on,
wait, you
just
can wait
writing
right there.
down your
He's giving
number.
your phone number down.
Overgrowth of these trees.
Gotcha.
My mom helped me write these things.
That was
Wow.
awesome.
It was very well written. She did a wonderful job, and you did a really good job reading it.
Kim, is that the same sidewalk you were talking about that was so overgrown?
No, that was Cemetery in Garfield.
Okay.
Thank you.
See what we can do.
Thank you.
See if it's us or the property owner.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Rebecca.
Anybody else have anything they want to talk about? Okay, we'll move into standing committee reports. Community Development, Mr. Haskins.
Thanks, Mayor. The Community Development Committee meeting took place on July 7th, 2021. I was present along with Mr. Mitchell and Mr. Redmond. Staff, Mr. Doss and Ms. Worthland. Visitors were Rachel Richardson and several unnamed residents. The proceedings, approved the proceedings from the June 3rd, 2021 Community Development Committee minutes. We did that. And then we talked about the ballot issue for a 3 mil tax levy for park and recreational purposes. Mr. Mitchell expressed concern over 2 levies, the Milford Schools and the City of Milford Park and Recreation levies, being on the November ballot. Mr. Mitchell contemplates advancing the ballot legislation to City Council. Mr. Redmond stated that he agrees with Mr. Mitchell, but believes that the legislation should go to the greater of City Council for further discussion and debate. Ms. Richardson asked if the Milford, Maine 5 Points Landing project will be in 3 phases and will require the need for 3 renewals of levies in the future. Mr. Doss responded to Ms. Richardson's query by stating that the 5 Points Landing project could be accomplished in 1 or 2 phases and only require a maximum of 2 levies, 1 additional and 1 renewal. According to Mr. Doss, the 5 Points Landing Park Pavilion phase could be constructed using creative measures to apply for grant funds, which will assist with the expenses of the pavilion project. The clock tower phase would probably need some combination of donations and private funding to assist with construction. The committee discussed the current park budget appropriations and operating expenses. Mr. Doss stated that once the 5 Points Landing project is complete and the levy is exhausted, the city should entertain a half mil levy to provide for future maintenance of all existing city parks. With no further comment or discussion, the committee made the following motion. The committee agreed to recommend that the law director draft an ordinance to proceed with the ballot issue for an additional 3.0 mil tax levy as a single levy and ballot issue for parks and recreational purposes in excess of the 10 mil limitation for 5 years for the city of Milford, Ohio.
Second.
Ms. Russell?
This is just
Oh, yes.
Ms. Evans?
Yes.
Ms. Velardo?
No, but with a quick clarification, not because I'm against the park, but because I'm against the timing of the park. Because with the upcoming school levy, I don't think that we should have this on the ballot. So only for that reason, my answer is no.
Mr. Mitchell?
yes.
Ms. Chamberlain?
Yes.
Mr. Haskins?
Yes.
Mr. Redmond?
Yes.
In other business, Mr. Doss provided the committee with an update of the walking path at Riverside Park. There being no further business, the meeting adjourned at 6:36 p.m. And that was it. It was a very good meeting. We had a really good discussion. I thought it was pretty challenging. I know we went back and forth on a lot of things, as you mentioned, Mayor, but in the end, we decided to bring it forward again to you guys to see. And on a personal note, I would just like to say that I certainly want the park levy to pass, but I think it's imperative that the school levy pass as well. I think those teachers deserve a facility in which they can teach in, and the kids need a facility in which they can learn. The one that's up there now is outdated. It needs to go. It needs to be updated, so.
If you've ever had a kid go into that school,
Yeah.
you know exactly what Ted and I are talking about.
It was outdated when Josh.
Yeah.
Right, I mean,
Yeah.
it's been for a long time.
So vote yes on both.
Yes.
Yeah.
Lots
And,
of items on.
and don't
the-
get me wrong, I'm going to vote no tonight, but at the end of the day, this passes, I'm behind this park levy 100%. But I just don't feel that it's the right time, but we'll move on. Okay, thank you, Mr. Haskins.
Thank you.
Administrative Services, Vice Mayor Evans.
Thank you, Mayor. We met on July 14th at 9:30 a.m. Present were myself, Sandy Russell, Kim Chamberlain, Michael Doss, Pat Worthland, and Jackie Bain. A visitor was Mara Wood, who's the Sales Director for Responsible Products. Our first discussion was on the Dora Cup vendor quotes. Mr. Doss presented information regarding Dora Cup quotes. Responsible Products have cups 30, you have to buy a 30 case minimum at 1,000 cups per case, which is 30,000 cups. $249 per case at 30 cases is $7,470, which is about 25 cents per cup. They also offer compost marketing campaign and placement of recycling units throughout downtown Main Street. So the reason we're looking at new cups is because they're recyclable, plant-based recyclable cups. Performer Albrecht offers 30,000 cups at about 34 cents per cup for $10,050. Mr. Wood from Responsible Products presented to the committee information regarding not only providing a compostable cup, but also a composting program which provides collection of the cups as well to make sure the cups are actually composted as they should be. Responsible Products is a local company. Mr. Wood is working on a cost proposal for the city for this program using a cardboard receptacle. He wants to walk the door zone to get information about types of receptacles and the quantities he would need. Ms. Chamberlain asked if it was possible for other compostable items to be dropped off in the bins. He stated that responsible compost is an option. Their company is already working with several local restaurants in Milford that use their compostable packaging. The committee approved the city manager to purchase door cups from Responsible Products in the amount of $7,470 and recognizes that this amount is less than the $7,500 provided, need authorization by the city manager. Any questions about that? Anybody have? The cups will last us, what, how many, several years, Mr. Doss thinks. That's a lot of cups. And they will store them for us. Responsible Products will store the cups and give them to us as we need them.
I think they want to come in
Great
and do a
idea.
presentation
Yes.
about the program once we get it started to help educate and inform the public and the businesses that would be participating as well.
Yes. So no longer can you have a cabinet full of door cups, sorry. Personnel policy change to Section 4 covering travel per diem. Chief Mills discussed credit card problems when members of the department are on business travel or training, and suggested a new policy covering travel per diem. The department compared other agencies and found that this is a pretty common policy. This policy would not eliminate credit cards, but lessen the use of a card. The finance department could issue a check, and then the people traveling are responsible for their meal per diem. In the event that the employee finds out that once they got to their meeting or training that a meal was provided, it must be reported, and they will not get per diem for that meal. The committee agreed to recommend that the law director draft an ordinance authorizing the city manager to include meal per diem in the city's personnel policy, section 4.07, expense reimbursement allowances.
Second.
Mr. Haskins,
Yes.
Ms. Evans,
Yes.
Mr. Mitchell,
Yes.
Ms. Chamberlain,
Yes.
Mr. Redmond,
Yes.
Ms. Russell,
Yes.
Ms. Velardo.
Yes.
Next was the Control Bionics lease agreement. Control Bionics would like to lease the entire third floor of the city building. Presently, they occupy approximately 2,529 square feet. The addition would include the former Literacy Council and remaining Milford Miami Township Chamber of Commerce. The chamber is expected to vacate to Cohatch in late August. So that's another approximate 721 square feet for a total of 3,250 square feet. The market rate for Class C office space has reduced because of supply and demand related to COVID-19 and remote work. The rate used at the time of the lease approvals in 2020 was $12 per square foot. The new rate used for consideration in the proposed lease agreement with Control Bionics is $10.34 per square foot, down $1.66, which is acceptable fair market lease value. The current lease for 36 months was in 3 tiers. The first year, $1,000, months 13 to 24, $1,750, and months 25 to 36, $2,500. The proposed lease agreement terms would be 48 months, no tiers, at $2,800 for a total of $134,400. Subtotal is $63,000 plus $19,800 that the chamber over 3 years paid at $6,600 per year for a total of $82,800. The proposed lease terms 48 months, that's that. So an additional 12 months for Control Bionics, and the Miami Township Chamber would provide $36,600 in lease proceeds and equal a total of 48-month term lease of $119,400. Different current versus proposed is $15,000. And since this is a for-profit company, it'll have to be reported to the county for property tax purposes. The committee agreed to recommend that the law director draft an ordinance authorizing the revised renewal of a lease agreement with Control Bionics.
Second.
Ms. Russell,
Yes.
Mr. Redmond,
Yes.
Ms. Velardo,
Yes.
Ms. Evans,
Yes.
Mr. Mitchell,
Yes.
Ms. Chamberlain,
Yes.
Mr. Haskins.
Yes.
Next was salary increase for non-union employees. The city is recommending a 3% pay increase for all non-union full-time employees for this year. The 3% increase will commence on the 14th pay period of this year, 2021, and continue until June 30th, 2022. In addition, the city is recommending that non-union full-time employees that were employed as of January 1st, 2021 receive the 3% pay increase difference in a retroactive lump sum for the first 13 pay periods of this year. The 3% is appropriated in the current 2021 budget. The change in the date of non-union full-time employees' pay will now coincide with the pay rate schedule and contract terms for all the other 4 collective bargaining units moving forward. The committee agreed to recommend that the law director draft an ordinance authorizing merit pay increase for non-union employees.
Second.
Ms. Velardo?
Yes.
Ms. Evans?
Yes.
Ms. Russell?
Yes.
Mr. Mitchell?
Yes.
Ms. Chamberlain?
Yes.
Mr. Haskins?
Yes.
Mr. Redmond?
Yes.
Next was ODOT consent legislation for pavement preventative maintenance for 2022. ODOT requests the City of Milford's consent to make pavement preventative maintenance within the corporation boundaries. ODOT will be placing a fine graded polymer asphalt concrete overlay, AKA smooth seal, on a portion of Claremont Route 50, starting at the Milford Corporation line to almost Wolf Pen Pleasant Hill Road. There is no expenditure for the city. The City of Milford area included in the project encompasses approximately 950 feet on US 50 to the end of the corporate boundary limits. This project is for 2022 ODOT project and requires authorization from the city to proceed in the aforementioned area. The committee agreed to recommend that the law director draft an ordinance authorizing the city manager to enter into a consent agreement with ODOT to provide pavement preventative maintenance within the corporate limits of the City of Milford.
Second.
Mr. Haskins?
Yes.
Ms. Velardo?
Yes.
Mr. Mitchell?
Yes.
Ms. Evans?
Yes.
Ms. Russell?
Yes.
Ms. Chamberlain?
Yes.
Mr. Redmond?
Yes.
And last was discussion of issuance of sale and notes in the amount of $540,000 in anticipation of the issuance of bonds for the purpose of refinancing property located at 25 Main Street, which is the bank building. Finance Director Pat Worthland discussed with the committee information regarding the issuance and sale of notes in the amount of $540,000 in anticipation of the issuance of bonds for the purpose of refinancing property located at 25 Main Street. Last year, the city issued a 1-year bond anticipation note to finance the $540,000 purchase of the former Park National Bank building and parking lots. The notes are approaching renewal. The plan is to roll over the anticipation note another year while the city explores different uses for the property. The interest due in October amounts in $17,501.25. The city does not plan to roll that over. Rather, the city will pay that in cash in October. The proposed ordinance will be up for vote at the next council meeting on August 20th, 2021, with a second vote. This is just the first reading. The committee reviewed an attached schedule of events. The entire process should be completed by October 7th. Mr. Doss wanted to make note that we do not anticipate the sale of the property before we have to go through this process. The committee agreed to recommend that the law director prepare an ordinance providing for the issuance and sale of notes in the maximum principal amount of $540,000 in anticipation of the issuance of bonds for the purpose of paying the cost of acquiring certain real property located near the intersection of Garfield Avenue and US Route 50, all in support of economic development and job creation within the city and declaring an emergency.
Second.
Ms. Evans?
Yes.
Ms. Velardo?
Yes.
Mr. Mitchell?
Yes.
Ms. Russell?
Yes.
Mr. Haskins?
Yes.
Mr. Redmond?
Yes.
Ms. Chamberlain?
Yes.
And with no further business, we adjourned at 10:44 a.m.
Thank you very much. City Manager report, Mr. Doss?
Yes. A few updates on some funding, future funding opportunities for the city. Our OPWC grant applications for the next round, which is at round 36, they're due at the end of August. The city does intend to make application for 2 projects, or the same projects that we had applied for last year, Wallace Avenue Water Supply Line and the Garfield Avenue Discharge Line. Both of those projects are necessary to be completed prior to the installation of the new Wallace Water Tower project. We've made some tweaks to our application in advancement in anticipation of reapplying for OPWC funds. We're a little bit more advanced in our surveying and engineering, which we feel is going to net us additional points, which hopefully we're successful in getting out of Claremont County and advancing us to the district. Once we get to the district, we pass that red line mark, we should be in good shape. We'll intend to leverage some of our ARPA funds, our Rescue Act funds as well, to assist also. So a combination of OPWC and ARPA funds should hopefully get us both of these projects and hopefully get us a better score moving forward. And we can do those in anticipation of the Wallace Water Tower. State of Ohio capital budget. The city is working with Claremont County Economic Development Office to submit 2 projects for funding. 5 Points Landing Phase 1 and Jim Terrell Park's new canoe, kayak put in and takeout. There have been some discussions within community development about making some improvements in how do we address our canoe and kayaks. Our current public accesses need some work. So we're looking at that, some additions and some things that they did specifically up at Kelly Nature Preserve, putting in again some requests in the capital budget for that, and then depending on how the vote goes tonight and if it's on the ballot, putting some assistance for some of Phase 1 of 5 Points Landing as well. That would also assist in maybe sprucing up that phase a little bit more, maybe us being able to do a little bit more in Phase 1 also. And certainly would cover maybe some of the inflationary costs between now and the time we actually do the project, because everybody knows that prices for construction are going up a little bit. Again, if we are successful in getting out of Claremont County and getting in the state capital budget, it's at no cost to us. These are just additional items that the state puts in, kind of pet projects for each county. So there's no cost to us if we're successful in getting these. It's like 100% funding. Those are due September 1st, so we got a little bit of time. And of course, we have an opinion of probable cost, which is a cost estimate for Phase 1 of 5 Points Landing, and I'm also working on getting a cost estimate for the Jim Terrell Park canoe and kayak put in and take out as well, which will also assist, I think, in the construction of that for emergency purposes, water rescues, giving particularly Miami Township's Boat Rescue an opportunity to back their trailer in successfully if there are any issues on the river, instead of going up to Kelly and putting it up there. So also helps from a public safety standpoint. I do want to address something that has been going around. I've fielded some calls from some reporters, and I just wanted to give the public and council an update on our water treatment plant facility. Earlier this month, there was an attempt to hack into the city's water system. The hack did corrupt one of the water department's desktop computers. The hack did not breach the city's water system. Since there was no compromise of the water system, the city continued and continues to this day to collect, treat, and distribute water efficiently and effectively. At no point when there was this compromise was there any type of detriment to our water system. So we were able to still process water and continue. One of our computers is kapooey, and we'll work to address that and get that fixed. There was no Bitcoin. We didn't pay any ransom or anything like that. So I just want to emphasize our water was completely safe throughout that whole process. And I do want to commend Joe Castile and the water department for several challenges that they faced this month already. But I just wanted to put that out to the public that the water plant is operating just as good as it did early on this month and will continue to operate. There are no standing committee meetings at this time. Reminders, we are not having a BZA meeting, so just scratch that off. August 11th is the next Planning Commission meeting at 6 o'clock, and then our next regularly scheduled City Council meeting is August the 17th at 7.
Thank you, Mr. Doss. Chief Mills, how are you this evening, sir?
I'm well, Mayor. Thank you, and good evening, Council. I'd like to touch on a couple of points from my June monthly report. A couple of notable occurrences. An elderly male at Sim Laurels, who's one of our Project Lifesaver clients, was reported missing on June 22nd. We immediately sent a team out. Detective Rogers, Officer Heller, and Officer Dennis fortunately located that man rather quickly. A testament to our Project Lifesaver program, which, if you're not familiar, is a program that provides tracking software and hardware to residents that are prone to wandering. Another incident that I think highlights the importance of being very skeptical of emails and phone calls. We had an attempted theft from the elderly where a scammer called saying there was suspicious activity on her Amazon account, which resulted in her granting remote access to her computer. The victim was directed to withdraw $13,500 from her bank account and to purchase gift cards. Gift cards are always a red flag. But again, I can't underscore enough how skeptical you need to be on any link that someone wants you to click on or any phone call you get that directs you to give someone access to your computer. Fortunately, this victim realized she was being scammed, froze her bank accounts, unplugged her computer, which was a great idea, and scheduled an appointment with the Geek Squad. So no loss there, but just want to make sure we get that out there to our residents that it's no longer simply a matter of locking your doors. Bad guys don't just burglarize your house now. They get in through your phone and your computer. Sergeant Lane submitted grant applications to cover our DARE officer and for 5 ballistic vest replacements in 2022. And we had several community relations items. We logged several hours of bicycle and Segway patrol during the month of June. The Freedom House Church visited the station and brought treats for the officers. Our annual Junior Police Academy was held the first week in June. Squad 1 assisted with a motorcycle ride at the American Legion and also with the annual Ava's Army ride at Quakersteg and Lube. Officers issued 5 Cop Watch forms throughout the month, warning residents of criminal opportunity prevention measures that they could take. Squad 3 conducted 3 senior visits and also stopped by the St. Andrew Festival. And on Squad 4, Officer Clark stopped in for a birthday party for an 11-year-old on Cobblestone. And on that same squad, Officer Eschman assisted a homeless man who was in the area waiting on a ride from his sister. His shoes were too small and were hurting his feet. We were able to give him a pair out of our diaper, shoes, and coat inventory. As you're probably aware, Officer Wilson started that program years ago, so it's still alive and well today and serving our residents well.
Awesome.
And that's all I have. Thank you.
I was distracted for a second. Did you talk about CPA?
I did not, thank you. We are still actively recruiting for our Citizens Police Academy. We have several past graduates on council that can attest to the benefit and value of that program. It is completely free. There's no catch. We will give you the opportunity after you graduate to volunteer if you want to, but there's absolutely no commitment. One night a week, I think it's like 6 to 9. A lot of times we get asked, what if I can't make all of them? That's no problem. We'll let you come back in the next class and make it up if you want. But it's a wonderful program. Highly encourage our residents to take advantage of it. Yeah. You can stop down to the station and get an application and submit it. You can contact me by email, phone. Any one of us would be happy to answer your question. I've given all the officers applications, asked them to hand them out, so they should have them if you see an officer. But yes, thank you very much, because right now I don't know that we have a single application. So yeah. Now we will still participate because, as you know, we have molded our academy together with Loveland and Miami Township. So we will still, the Milford Police Department will still be a part of that multi-jurisdictional academy. But we'd like to have some Milford residents in it.
Absolutely.
So please, please, please
Council
take
members
advantage of it.
can participate too.
Yeah. And it's,
Is that in September?
I'm a
Yes, it
graduate
begins,
already. Me too.
I can give you the exact date if you want. I think it's the
Members can
first week in
participate too.
September. And that's the first classes here at the PD. I believe it starts on, I was going to say September 5th, maybe it's the 11th. Well, I thought I knew. It's early September.
But as all of us that have been there, it's amazing.
Yes.
I would do it again, quite frankly.
Very worthwhile.
Yeah,
It's really good.
Yeah, it's a
really
great program. Thank you for reminding me.
of course. Thank you, Chief. Fire and EMS, Chief Baird. Good evening.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you. Completely not related to my report. My wife and I recently visited the Caribbean country of Aruba. We've been going down there off and on for a lot of years, but one of the things that happened since we were last there was the country banned all single-use plastics, grocery bags. They had done that prior, but straws and all the other things. And one of the things that was interesting was like wooden straws, the biodegradable wooden straws. They were great as long as you were just using it on that drink you were working with, but if you tried to use it later on, it would crumble apart. So they were truly single use. But like the little, and this is what reminded me of what you're talking about with the door cups, the little portion serve cups, ketchup, mustard, and those kind of things. The cup itself was what I would imagine was what you were, because they were clearly biodegradable, but as, on top of that was what looked like a plastic lid was also a biodegradable, and I don't know if it was gelatin or what, you know, what kind of, but it was really interesting, and it's kind of, I just wanted to say that because I think that that's editorializing that that's probably where our country needs to go in a lot of ways, but.
Yeah, it's really taken off here. I mean, Ben uses it in his store. I know Lear's is using it. The breweries are using the products. It's really taken off.
But anyway, I just wanted to make that comment. And thank you for the opportunity to speak this evening. I have a few things I wanted to go over. First off, the board had its regular meeting last night and accepted the audit of our books from DCA, CPAs Incorporated. Very clean audit. That's been presented to the city manager and the finance director per the agreement, and so that's available from them, and everything was great there, a lot of good comments. We have done quite a bit of training. I wanted to put a quick shout out once again to another city department, our service department. Our department trained on auto extrication down at Bay Road on the pad for the salt barn, so it's easier to clean up. But of course, the service department made their space available, also made a backhoe available because they wanted to really destroy this car and flip it over and do some things that were more realistic than just working on a car that's sitting on its wheels. And also to A&A Safety Incorporated, they loaned us a jersey barrier, a concrete jersey barrier, and we hauled that down, and they were able to do a lot of things simulating a vehicle on its top up against a jersey barrier, which creates a lot of extrication, a lot of rescue issues. So thank you to both our service department and also to A&A Safety for helping us out with that. We had a couple members complete the week-long Swiftwater rescue training. We've been working on getting our employees trained, better trained in dealing with the water rescue. And as the city manager alluded to, we've been also asking for ways to improve our access, not just for Milford, but all of the responding agencies that deal with river emergencies along the Little Miami. And so that was, and also in the water rescue mode, we had 89 firefighters from not only Milford, but Miami Township, Goshen, Union, and Loveland Sims, who trained together over victim care in pool emergencies, pool-related emergencies at the Milford High School pool. And we appreciate the school's use of that. But 89 firefighters from those jurisdictions, multidisciplinary training. It was really, really good. And we've gotten very good at multiple, because we work together every day, anyway. It's best if we train together as well, and I appreciate their communities also recognizing the importance of that joint training. The department received a $2,632 grant from the Ohio Department of Public Safety. That's the grant program that's funded by seatbelt violation fines collected across the state. We get that about that same amount every year, and we put that towards EMS equipment and training. A number of different PR details along the way, a couple parades, worked all day at the fireworks with Rosie's, which, as the report points out, we have to have a fire inspector on site throughout the entire time that the fireworks are on the ground. So the new ambulance is in service. The old ambulance, what is now the old ambulance, was updated to make it like the new ambulance. Everything's going good there. 6 months report just to kind of give you where we are as a department as far as emergency details are concerned. We're running right at the 2,000 run pace, just about normal for us for the year. Our expenses, we are close to 7% under budget on our expenses, and we're about 1.3% under on revenue. Nothing surprising with either one of those. So financially, we're well within our budget that the board approved at the beginning of the year. The club, the Firefighters Club, has another fundraising event scheduled for August the 14th, Saturday, August the 14th, running from 5 p.m. to 10 p.m. at the American Legion Hall. We're going to be hosting the Big Trouble Blues Band as a fundraiser there, selling drinks. The Legion will be selling adult drinks as well. And all of that money is fundraising towards a piece of rescue equipment that the club's been working on funding throughout the year. Finally, Captain Nickel, one of the shift supervisors, provided an email complimenting several actions by officers of the police department at a structure fire call on July the 4th. And I'm just going to read the email or the letter to Chief Mills. Chief Mills, on July 4th, Milford Community Fire Department was dispatched to 5 Cemetery Road for a reported structure fire. Upon arrival, we had smoke coming from the front door of the residence. Officers Yeary, Mell, and Liming were of great help this day. They were assisting the occupants from the house under smoke conditions. Officer Mell attempted to extinguish the fire, which was located in the bedroom, and after opening the bedroom door, he then closed it back. His actions in shutting this door kept the fire contained to the bedroom. The fire itself was small, however, could have been much worse had the door been left open. Once outside, the officers assisted the engine company to stretch hand lines, and he goes on to say, we want to thank the Milford Police Department for the assistance they provided this day. As always, 2 departments working together to accomplish one goal. Jim Nickel, captain. And I think there are 2 things to learn there. And as I as much as possible brag on our coworkers in the other departments, because I think they're outstanding, and quite frankly, they make our life easier. But the fire prevention message there is that we all need to learn to live with closed doors in our homes throughout, especially at night when we're sleeping, because those closed doors in conjunction with smoke alarms, knowing 2 ways out, are most definitely the way to keep a small fire contained to where you have not only the opportunity to have less damage to the home, but more importantly, to have good, clean air to escape once the smoke alarm awakens you and alerts you to the fire. And we, as we've gone, as we've learned through the years as firefighters, we've been taught very clearly that even in our actions, not to run up, for example, and just throw a door open to look inside to see what's going on, or if we have to do that to kind of assess the situation, then make sure that we close it back right away. And when we're inside of the buildings, trying to extinguish the fire, try to keep the door closed till the very last minute until we are going to open it and start putting water and foam on the fire. And so the fire prevention message that I want to share is that while it's not exactly the way a lot of us live, learn to close doors at night, keep doors closed, close doors during the day when you leave, because not only can that help prevent more damage to a home in the unfortunate event of a fire, but it could also mean the difference between a safe route of travel, escaping the home versus not. And so with that, does anybody have any questions? I'm a little windy tonight, and I apologize.
No, those were
But
good
I
tips.
Jackie is also going to have to figure out how to spell whatever cahoots or whatever word that you used a little bit
Yeah.
ago.
Yeah.
Cahoots?
Whatever it was.
Did I really say that?
What you said.
Yes, you did.
That's my Appalachia coming out there. I don't know. Sorry. Cahoots.
Any
Wow.
questions for me? I'm
Kaput.
sorry.
I think you're
Kaput?
kaput, right?
Kaput.
Computer went
Cahoots.
kaput.
However, kaput. Yeah. Kaput.
Thank you for your time.
I don't imagine that people close their doors when they leave the house because of the heating and cooling, right? I mean,
And that's correct, and those are valid things.
yeah.
But I mean, purely from a fire science standpoint, a closed door is the best.
So I guess if I'm going to go out of town, I'm going to turn everything down. I don't care if air circulates. I'm going to close my doors. That makes sense.
That's interesting.
You gave me something to think about, obviously.
Good, that's my job. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, council comments.
I thought I had something, I can't remember, so.
So Michael and I are doing something exciting tomorrow.
Yeah. We are. Absolutely.
So we have been tossing around the idea of, how we used to have the newsletters in with our water bill? Well, doing a monthly live newsletter. And tomorrow, we're going to give a crack at it. So we're going to see how it goes. Our thoughts are that we travel, that we go somewhere and we do a quick, kind of like what Ralph and I already do, like now you know where to go, but more along the lines of what the city provides, that kind of thing. And ICRC is going to be there to film it for us, and they're going to do all the graphics and the music and everything. It's going to be short, no longer than 8 minutes. It seems to be where people tend to lose their attention span. But I would love for everybody to participate. Like next month it could be somebody else, and your topic is going to be brush pickup, or that kind of thing. So If there's something that you want to share and you want to do this, let me know. If there's something coming up, parks, cleaning parks, that kind of thing. Tomorrow, we're going to start talking about Riverside Park and the walking trail that's going in and that kind of thing. Is there something else? We really don't know. We're really just going to go wing it.
Yep, talking about park improvements, some of the things coming up, some of the incentives and things that we have to offer as well.
Yeah. So we thought that would be kind of a little more interesting than just a newsletter and a water bill.
Do we still do the newsletter or no, in the water bill?
We haven't been.
That
There
discontinued?
hasn't been staff to do it kind of thing.
Yeah.
I missed that because there was some good information in there.
Yeah, I started getting the water bill digitally, so I didn't even think about.
Right? There's
so I
another
didn't-
reason.
Right?
But
Well,
a
and
lot of
for-
people get the hard copy.
Yeah, I like to read it. I'm sad to hear that, because I enjoyed reading it when I
Yeah.
used to get it.
Our social media on our city website, city page is pretty healthy. There's a lot of traffic that goes through there, so it might be a good way to get some information out and talk about something and make it fun and entertaining while doing so.
So on this video newsletter, where are we feeding it? Do you know what I mean? Is it gonna be on the city website? Is
Yeah.
it gonna be on
Yep.
Facebook, on all of our social media?
Yep.
Cool. Awesome. Great.
So if there's something that you want to do, let me know, and you can do the next one. Did you think about what you were looking?
I'm thinking.
All right. So if nobody has anything, it's now time for the National Honor Society people to duck out. This is your cue.
Oh,
You're allowed to leave.
poor Manir.
Don't worry, Mr. Manier won't be offended.
Encouraging,
Thank you.
frankly.
Mr. Manier.
Thank you. Ordinance 2021-94, an ordinance to proceed with the ballot issue for an additional 3.0 mil tax levy as a single levy and ballot issue for parks and recreational purposes in excess of the 10 mil limitation for 5 years for the city of Milford, Ohio. Whereas the council of the city of Milford has determined that it is necessary to provide for the continuing provision, improvement, and maintenance of city of Milford parks and recreational amenities and facilities. And whereas the council of the city of Milford has determined that it is necessary to levy a tax outside the 10 mil limitation for the purpose of financing the continuing provision, improvement, and maintenance of city of Milford parks and recreational amenities and facilities. And whereas the amount of taxes which may be raised within the 10 mil limitation will be insufficient to provide for the necessary requirement of the subdivision, and it is necessary to levy a tax in excess of the limitation. Now therefore be it ordained by the council of the municipality of Milford, Section 1, that an additional tax be levied at a rate not to exceed 3.0 mils for each $1 of valuation, which amounts to 30 cents for each $100 of valuation to be used for purposes of financing the continued provision, improvement, and maintenance of City of Milford parks and recreational amenities and facilities in the City of Milford pursuant to and in accordance with Ohio Revised Code Section 5705.19H. The tax is to be levied upon the entire territory of the City of Milford, located in Claremont County, Ohio, and Hamilton County, Ohio. It is necessary to levy a tax outside the 10 mil limitation, 10 mil tax limitation. Section 2, that the question of levying such additional tax be submitted to the electors of the City of Milford at the November 2nd, 2021 general election to be held within the City of Milford, Ohio. The ballot measure shall be submitted to the entire territory of the City of Milford, located in Claremont and Hamilton Counties, Ohio. Section 3, that such additional tax levy be placed on the tax list of Claremont County and Hamilton Counties, Ohio, for the tax years 2022, 2023, 2024, and 2025, and 2026, if the majority of the electors voting thereon vote in favor thereof. January of the year 2022 is the first month and year in which the tax will be levied for the first collection in calendar year 2023. Section 4, the levy type is an additional 3.0 mils levy. Section 5, that the clerk of this council in the City of Milford be and is hereby directed to certify a copy of this ordinance to the Board of Elections of Claremont and Hamilton Counties, Ohio, as provided by law, and notify the Board of Elections to cause notice of elections on a question of levying said tax to be given as required by law. Section 6, that the law director is given full authority to make any and all corrections which may be deemed necessary by the Claremont County Board of Elections. Section 7, the roll call vote was as follows, and pursuant to, and assuming that gets 5 affirmative votes, pursuant to, in accordance with Section 12.05, the Milford City Charter, this ordinance having been passed and adopted by at least 5 affirmative votes, which is 2/3 of the Milford City Council, shall become effective immediately.
Move to suspend the rules and read by title only.
Ms. Chamberlain?
Yes.
Ms. Velardo?
Yes.
Ms. Evans?
Yes.
Ms. Russell?
Yes.
Mr. Mitchell?
Yes.
Mr. Haskins?
Yes.
Mr. Redmond?
Yes.
Ordinance 2021-94, an ordinance to proceed with the ballot issue for an additional 3.0 mil tax levy as a single levy and ballot issue for parks and recreational purposes in excess of the 10 mil limitation for 5 years for the city of Milford, Ohio.
Motion to adopt.
Second.
Mr. Redmond?
Yes.
Mr. Haskins?
Yes.
Ms. Velardo?
No.
Ms. Evans?
Yes.
Ms. Russell?
No.
Mr. Mitchell?
Yes.
Ms. Chamberlain?
Yes.
Okay, this ordinance might take more than 8 minutes. Ordinance number 2021-95, an ordinance providing for the issuance and sale of notes in the maximum principal amount of $540,000 in anticipation of the issuance of bonds for the purpose of paying. Did I read it by title only? Yeah. Okay. We passed it. For the purpose of paying the cost of acquiring certain real property located near the intersection of Garfield Avenue and US Route 50, all in support of economic development and job creation within the city of Milford and declaring an emergency. Whereas the city of Milford, Ohio is authorized by virtue of the laws of the state of Ohio, including without limitation, Section 13 of Article 8, Ohio Constitution, and Chapter 165, and other applicable provisions of the Ohio Revised Code, which are collectively the Act, among other things, to issue bonds or notes to acquire, construct, furnish, equip, or improve a project as defined in Section 165.01 of the Ohio Revised Code for the purpose of creating or preserving jobs and employment opportunities and improving the economic welfare of the people of the city and the state of Ohio, and whereas to facilitate the creation of jobs and employment opportunities and improving the economic welfare of the people of the city and of the state of Ohio, the city is determined to issue the notes to acquire certain real property located near the intersection of Garfield Avenue and US 50, which is the project. And whereas pursuant to ordinance number 2020-50 passed September 15, 2020, notes in anticipation of bonds and a principal amount of $540,000 dated October 8th, 2020, which are the outstanding notes, were issued for the purpose described in Section 2 to mature on October 7th, 2021. And whereas the City Council finds and determines that the city should retire the outstanding notes with the proceeds of the notes described in Section 4 and other funds available to the city, now therefore be ordained by the Council of the Municipality of Milford, Claremont and Hamilton Counties, Ohio, the Section 1 Model Ordinance, the 2020 Model Non-Tax Revenue Note Ordinance for the city providing for the issuance and sale of notes, the Model Non-Tax Revenue Note Ordinance, which is now on file with the city manager and the clerk of council, is hereby adopted, and except to the extent such provisions are in conflict with this ordinance, are incorporated herein by reference, including any defined terms contained therein, pursuant to Section 12.03 of the Milford City Charter. This council finds and determines that because of the length of the Model Non-Tax Revenue Note Ordinance is impractical to reproduce it in its entirety in this ordinance. Section 2, findings. This council hereby determines that the project is a project as defined in the Act and is consistent with the purposes of Section 13 of Article 8 of the Ohio Constitution, that the utilization of the project is in furtherance of the purposes of the Act and will benefit the people of the city and of the state by creating and preserving jobs and employment opportunities and improving the economic welfare of the people of the city and the state, and that the amount necessary to finance the project will require the issuance, sale, and delivery of the notes, which notes shall be payable and secured as provided herein and in the model non-tax revenue note ordinance, Section 3, necessity of bonds. It is necessary to issue bonds of this city and the maximum principal amount of $540,000, the bonds, for the purpose of paying the cost of acquiring certain real property located near the intersection of Garfield Avenue and US 50, all in support of economic development and job creation within the city. Section 4, anticipated terms of bonds. The bonds shall be dated approximately October 1st, 2022, shall bear interest at the now estimated rate of 6% per year, payable semi-annually until the principal amount is paid, and are estimated to mature in 20 annual principal installments on December 1st of each year, and in such amounts that the total principal and interest payments on the bonds in a fiscal year in which principal is payable shall be substantially equal. The first principal payment of the bonds is estimated to be December 1st, 2023. Section 5, notes. It is necessary to issue, and this council determines that notes in a maximum principal amount of $540,000. Notes shall be issued in anticipation of the issuance of the bonds for the purpose described in Section 3 and are retired together with other funds available to the city. The outstanding notes and to pay any financing costs. The principal amount on the notes to be issued, not to exceed the stated maximum amount, shall be determined by the Director of Finance, and the certificate awarding the notes in accordance with Section 8 of this ordinance, the certificate of award, as amount which, along with other available funds of the city, is necessary to provide for the retirement of the outstanding notes and to pay any financing costs. The note shall be dated the date of issuance and shall mature not more than 1 year following the date of issuance, provided that the Director of Finance shall establish maturity date and the certificate of award. The note shall bear interest at a rate or rates not to exceed 6% per year, computed on the basis of a 360-day year consisting of 12 30-day months, payable at maturity and until the principal amount is paid or payment is provided for. The rate or rates of interest on the note shall be determined by the Director of Finance and the certificate of award in accordance with Section 8 of this ordinance. The note shall be issued pursuant to laws of the State of Ohio, including without limitation Section 13 of Article 8 Ohio Constitution and Chapter 165 Ohio Revised Code, the Charter of the City, this ordinance, and the certificate of award. Section 6, payment of debt charges. The provision of Section 6 of the model non-tax revenue note ordinance shall apply to the notes. Section 7, execution of notes and book entry system. Provisions of Section 7 of the model tax revenue note ordinance shall apply to the notes. Section 8, sale of notes. The provisions of Section 8 of the model non-tax revenue note ordinance shall apply to the notes. Section 9, use of note proceeds and payment of financing costs. Provisions of Section 9 of the model non-tax revenue note ordinance shall apply to the notes. Section 10, use of other proceeds. The provisions Section 10 of the model non-tax revenue note ordinance shall apply to the notes. Section 11, security for and covenants relating to the notes. The provisions of Section 11 of the model non-tax revenue ordinance shall apply to the notes. Section 12, additional bonds test certification. The provisions of Section 12 of the model non-tax revenue note ordinance shall apply to the notes. Section 13, application for rating. The provisions of Section 13 of the model non-tax revenue note ordinance shall apply to the notes. Section 14, bond counsel, Squire Patton Boggs LLP is hereby retained as bond counsel. Section 15, municipal advisor, Bradley Payne LLC is hereby retained as municipal advisor. Section 16, notification of note issuance. The provisions of Section 16 of the model non-tax revenue note ordinance shall apply to the notes. Section 17, satisfaction of conditions for note issuance. This council determines all acts and conditions necessary to be done or performed by the city or to have been met precedent to and in the issuance of notes in order to make them legal, valid, and binding. Special obligations of the city have been performed and have been met or will, at the time of delivery of the notes, have been formed and have been met in regular or due form as required by law, and no statutory or constitutional limitation of indebtedness or taxation well exceeded in the issuance of the notes. Section 18, compliance with open meeting requirements. The council finds and determines that all formal actions of this council and any of its committees concerning and relating to the passage of this ordinance were taken in an open meeting of this council or any of its committees, and in all deliberations of this council and any of its committees that result in those formal actions were in meetings open to the public, all in compliance with the law, including Section 121.22 of the Ohio Revised Code, Section 19, effective date. This ordinance is declared to be an emergency necessary with immediate preservation of public peace, health, welfare, and safety of the inhabitants of the city. And for the further reason that this ordinance is required to be immediately effective in order to issue and sell the notes, which is necessary to enable the city to timely retire the outstanding notes and thereby preserve its credit, wherefore this ordinance shall be in full force and effect immediately upon its passage.
This is the first reading, we still suspend the rules and read by title only, I assume?
It's gonna go through 2 readings.
No, it's gotta go, yeah.
Yeah, it's just the first reading. Does that mean we're coming back next council to
We're
read
gonna
it
do it
again? Okay. I was hoping so. One reading's not enough for that. It's just getting started. Ordinance 2021-96, an ordinance authorizing amendment of the lease agreement with Control Bionics. Now therefore be it ordained by the council of the municipality of Milford, Ohio, Section 1. The council of the city of Milford hereby authorizes the city manager to enter into and execute the amended lease agreement with Control Bionics for office space in a municipal building. The terms and conditions of the amended lease agreement are fully incorporated herein as if fully rewritten herein in their entirety pursuant to in accordance with Section 12.03 of the Milford City Charter. Section 2, pursuant to in accordance with Section 12.05 of the Milford City Charter, this ordinance should become effective immediately upon its passage by City Council.
Move to suspend the rules and read by title only?
Second.
Mr. Haskins?
Yes.
Ms. Velardo?
Yes.
Ms. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Mitchell?
Yes.
Mr. Haskins? I'm sorry, Mr. Redmond?
Yes.
Ms. Chamberlain?
Yes.
Ms. Russell?
Yes.
Ordinance 2021-96, an ordinance authorizing the amendment of the lease agreement with Control Bionics.
Motion to adopt?
Second. Second. Sorry.
Ms. Velardo?
Yes.
Ms. Russell?
Yes.
Ms. Evans?
Yes.
Ms. Chamberlain?
Yes.
Mr. Mitchell?
Yes.
Mr. Redmond?
Yes.
Mr. Haskins?
Yes.
Ordinance 2021-97, an ordinance authorizing merit pay increases for non-union employees. Now therefore be it ordained by the council of the municipality of Milford, Section 1. The council of the city of Milford hereby authorizes the city manager to establish merit pay increases for non-union full-time employees, excluding the city manager and law director, in the amount of 3% effective on the 15th pay period of 2021, continuing until July 10th, 2022. In addition, those non-union full-time employees that were employed as of January 1st, 2021 shall receive the 3% pay increase differential and a retroactive lump sum for the first 14 pay periods of 2021. Section 2, pursuant to in accordance with Section 12.05 of the Milford City Charter, this ordinance should become effective immediately upon its passage by City Council.
Move to suspend the rules and read by title only?
Second.
Ms. Chamberlain?
Yes.
Ms. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Haskins?
Yes.
Mr. Redmond?
Yes.
Ms. Velardo?
Yes.
Ms. Russell?
Yes.
Mr. Mitchell?
Yes.
Ordinance 2021-97, an ordinance authorizing merit pay increases for non-union employees.
Motion to adopt?
Second.
Ms. Chamberlain?
Yes.
Mr. Mitchell?
Yes.
Ms. Velardo?
Yes.
Ms. Russell?
Yes.
Mr. Haskins?
Yes.
Mr. Redmond?
Yes.
Ms. Evans?
Yes.
Ordinance 2021-98, an ordinance amending the City of Milford Personnel Policy and Procedural Manual regarding meal per diem. Now therefore be it ordained by the Council of the Municipality of Milford, Section 1. The Council of the City of Milford hereby amends Section 4.07C2 of the Policy and Procedure Manual to read in accordance with the attachment hereto, which is fully incorporated herein as if fully rewritten herein, pursuant to and in accordance with Section 12.03 of the Milford City Charter. Section 2, all other provisions of the Milford Personnel Policy and Procedure Manual not expressly amended herein shall remain in full force and effect. Section 3, pursuant to and in accordance with Section 12.05 of the Milford City Charter, this ordinance should become effective immediately upon its passage by City Council.
Move to suspend the rules and read by title only?
Second.
Ms. Velardo?
Yes.
Ms. Evans?
Yes.
Ms. Russell?
Yes.
Mr. Mitchell?
Yes.
Ms. Chamberlain?
Yes.
Mr. Haskins?
Yes.
Mr. Redmond?
Yes.
Ordinance 2021-98, an ordinance amending the City of Milford Personnel Policy and Procedure Manual regarding meal per diem.
Motion to adopt.
Second.
Mr. Haskins?
Yes.
Ms. Velardo?
Yes.
Ms. Russell?
Yes.
Ms. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Mitchell?
Yes.
Mr. Redmond?
Yes.
Ms. Chamberlain?
Yes.
Ordinance 2021-99, an ordinance authorizing a consent agreement with the Ohio Department of Transportation to provide pavement preventive maintenance within the City of Milford, Ohio. Now therefore be ordained by the Council of the Municipality of Milford, Section 1. The Council of the City of Milford hereby authorizes the city manager to enter into and execute the consent agreement preliminary legislation with the Ohio Director of Transportation for the provision of pavement preventive maintenance within the City of Milford. The consent agreement is attached hereto and fully incorporated herein as if fully rewritten herein pursuant to in accordance with Section 12.03 the Milford City Charter. City Manager and City Finance Director are further authorized to sign any and all additional required documents. Section 2, pursuant to in accordance with Section 12.05 of the Milford City Charter, this ordinance should become effective immediately upon its passage by City Council.
Move to suspend the rules and read by title only.
Second.
Mr. Haskins?
Yes.
Ms. Velardo?
Yes.
Mr. Mitchell?
Yes.
Ms. Russell?
Yes.
Ms. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Redmond?
Yes.
Ms. Chamberlain?
Yes.
Ordinance 2021-99, an ordinance authorizing a consent agreement with the Ohio Department of Transportation to provide pavement preventive maintenance within the City of Milford, Ohio.
Motion to adopt.
Second.
Ms. Velardo?
Yes.
Ms. Evans?
Yes.
Ms. Russell?
Yes.
Mr. Mitchell?
Yes.
Ms. Chamberlain?
Yes.
Mr. Haskins? Mr. Redmond?
Yes.
All right. I believe that is all. Does anybody have anything else before we adjourn? Any new business, old business? I lost my agenda. Nothing? So we still have one meeting a month next month. I believe it's the second meeting or first?
17th.
17th.
Yes.
One meeting next month on the 17th?
Yes.
If there's no further business, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Velardo?
Yes.
Ms. Evans?
Yes.
Ms. Russell?
Yes.
Mr. Mitchell?
Yes.
Ms. Chamberlain?
Yes.
Mr. Haskins?
Yes.
Mr. Redmond?
Yes.
Thank you. Good evening.
These are the